Dramatic images from the Gulf of Mexico show a fire burning in the water. Come look at the screen. You'll never see something like this.
It still boggles the mind to look at it. It may look just like a scene from a disaster movie, but this is real. This video captured today when the ocean caught fire in the Gulf of Mexico just west of the Yucatan Peninsula. Those dramatic images of the ocean aflame quickly going viral on social media. Some people calling it an eye of fire, while others said it looked like the portal to hell opening up.
Undersea gas pipeline ruptured, causing flames to bubble up from beneath the surface.
Just describe for us what it was like.
Well, thanks for having me. It was apocalyptic is really the only words I can use to describe it without exaggeration.
Military aircraft have been mobilised to help evacuate towns and fight more than 130 wildfires tearing across Western Canada.
There are 137 fires burning across BC. 69 of them were sparked in the last 2 days alone.
The unprecedented heat wave and wildfires have left the country reeling, and worried this will become the new normal.
Buckled roadways and seared power lines. In the U.S., the heat is fueling 44 large fires across nearly a dozen states.
Millions are suffering in the Pacific Northwest as a stalled-out heat dome drives temperatures to historic and dangerous numbers. Meanwhile, a separate heat wave is baking the east.
There are new fears tonight about the lava fire burning in Northern California. It's grown rapidly and forced thousands to evacuate. Officials are concerned that the dangerous heat could prompt more fires.
Lightning, that is also a concern. It's responsible for so many of the fires in the BC interior. 12,000 lightning strikes on Thursday alone, including in Kamloops, where residents in 2 neighborhoods were forced to evacuate.
A huge search and rescue operation is underway in Japan tonight after a landslide swept away an entire section of a city. The disaster was triggered by heavy rains and more than a dozen people are missing.
Locals could hear it before they could see it. A wall of water and mud collecting everything in its way. Furniture, cars, entire homes swept up in its rage. Power poles exploding as they were torn from their foundations. This driver, while trying to avoid the initial trickle, unknowingly turns into the path of destruction. The landslide struck in the seaside city of Itami, 2 hours south of Tokyo. The concoction of debris and earth continuing to creep through the streets long after the moment of impact. At least 19 people are missing, with 10 homes destroyed. A search and rescue mission now underway. Those who are high enough to be safe left in disbelief, recording the extent of the devastation. The region had been battered by heavy rain for several days, causing widespread flooding and smaller landslips like this one. Precursors to a force no one saw coming.
This is NBC Bay Area News Tonight. I'm Raj Mathai. We'll start with our breaking news. That sharp jolt and some shaking on this Monday evening. A 3.9 magnitude earthquake about 30 minutes ago. This was felt in many parts of the Bay Area. The East Bay, where it was centered, the peninsula, San Francisco, Marin County, just about everywhere. A lot of people telling us this was the strongest quake they felt in years.
We were getting reaction from some of our viewers, showing us what the moments were like inside of their homes as things were starting to rattle and shake during this 3.9 magnitude earthquake. Folks that I got a chance to talk with in this neighborhood nearby the epicenter say they definitely felt the intensity of it.
Probably going to see a lot of this. This video, you see this chandelier swinging. This is in San Francisco. Obviously, we also expect a lot of liquor stores perhaps to lose some of their inventory and grocery stores as well.
To Twitter right afterwards and got some responses from people on Twitter, people in Clayton, Half Moon Bay, Emeryville, Berkeley, Oakland. A lot of people reporting feeling that earthquake today. One person in Oakland says, my entire house shook and my dog is confused. TR from Donahue from Berkeley says it was a quick and strong earthquake in Berkeley. And even our writer who works from home in San Francisco says that her apartment felt like there was a bubble underneath it. So it definitely was a very noticeable.
Color coding on this map, shaking intensity increases as you get into the yellow and the orange. And what's kind of unique here is from San Ramon to Danville, there's some pretty moderate shaking that occurred relatively far away from where this quake's epicenter was. As you see from San Leandro to Hayward into Oakland, people reporting this shaking intensity being felt from San Francisco down through Daly City, and a few stations actually picking up some of that light to moderate shaking if you look closely here, all the way down to Santa Cruz and almost to Morgan Hill. So if an earthquake of this size now revised to 3.9.
Your first experiences as well, wasn't it?
It definitely was. Needless to say, when I was in the KRON 4 newsroom this evening preparing another story, I couldn't believe what was happening in the moment. I had to take a few seconds to really process what was happening. As I told Vicky and Grant at 9 o'clock, I'm from Texas. There, we're used to walking on the ground, moving on the ground, not having the ground move on us. I also called my mom to let her know what was happening today, so she's not too worried about me. She just wanted to make sure I'm all right.
Well, biologists are baffled at what is killing birds across several states in the country, including Ohio.
Several birds across central Ohio, like this one, are dying for unknown reasons, an unknown disease.
New information this morning about the unexplained increase in sick and dying songbirds in multiple states.
Concern continues to grow about a mysterious illness affecting songbirds all across the Midwest. Conservation officials say the strange disease has not been detected.
At the reports of sick and dying songbirds, but it's not just happening there. Cases have been reported in Kentucky and Ohio as well.
They have noticed, have you seen any birds around that have been dying? Wildlife officials say it's become a big problem. Mysterious deaths of birds all over, including right here in Pennsylvania and Delaware. So many of our counties, people are finding these dead birds in 27 different counties just in Pennsylvania.
An illness linked to a mysterious medical condition. Experts don't know if this can be passed to people or pets.
Information tonight on reports that songbirds in central Indiana are dying off because of a mysterious illness. Conservation officers tell us it's happening in other states too. And now we've heard similar reports coming from Ohio, Kentucky, even Washington, D.C. Wildlife officials say they can't really figure out what's going on.
But over the last few weeks, bird watchers have noticed something strange.
Eye crustiness, eye discharge, and swollenness in the eyes, as well as neurological symptoms.
There have been links to maybe pesticide or herbicide uses, or this could be a disease that we're not familiar with. You know, they have tested negative for avian influenza, they've tested negative for West Nile virus.
And he says if you find a dead songbird, that's not to touch it. Right now, they just don't know if what's killing the birds can be passed on to humans. Jin hopes they find answers soon.
Sad, really sad, you know. It's birds is a nature.
All new tonight, birds across the region are dying from something. And as bird watchers grow concerned, 7 News reporter Stephanie Brindley met with the West Virginia.
Mysterious illness is killing birds in Kentucky.
Mysterious illness in birds has now been reported here in central Kentucky. The Department of Fish and Wildlife is now asking people in Madison County to take down their feeders as they try to learn more about what's killing these animals.
It's devastating. It's potentially devastating.
The concern for bird lovers is growing.
Once I start hearing large numbers like that, it sounds like we have some sort of a credible epidemic on our hands, and people should take it seriously.
But now Kentucky Fish and Wildlife says this unknown illness has been reported in our area. The states reporting the illness have also recently expanded to include Delaware, New Jersey, and Pennsylvania.
If it's spreading as quickly as it is.
Virginia, Maryland, and the D.C. metro area started to see strange cases around the end of May. Berkeley and Jefferson County is where West Virginia is seeing birds keel over since the start of June. Swollen, crusty eyes, blindness, and head tilts, and one more thing.
And they've all been juvenile birds, which is interesting. And that kind of tracks with what other states are seeing.
Throughout all her years here at the Ohio Wildlife Center, Interim Executive Director Stormy Gibson says she's never seen a disease quite like this. Since the start of this month, the center has identified multiple cases of an unknown illness in songbird species across central Ohio, the symptoms of which include a white crust in birds' eyes, leading to blindness, as well as damage to their nervous system, leaving them unable to fly.
And eventually death. This blue jay was found in West Akron, but the cause of death is not known.
The disease has also been identified in several states, including Virginia, Delaware, Maryland, Indiana, and West Virginia.
Now, there have been several theories that cicadas infected with pesticides may be causing these symptoms in birds, but biologists and wildlife experts say this is all merely speculation because the disease is popping up in states where cicadas aren't even present. Local for you in Columbus, I'm Jonathan Jackson, NBC4.
Health reporter Stephanie Stahl talked to one of the lead investigators about this troubling situation. Stephanie?
Well, Yuki, in the past 2 days, there have been 160 reports of dead songbirds in Pennsylvania. We want to let you know we have pictures of some of the dead birds that are being investigated. The dead and sick songbirds are all young with swollen, crusty eyes and have neurologic symptoms.
Some of them have head tremors or they're unable to stand. We were shocked.
Dr. Scott Weber, a wildlife expert at Penn Vet, says this is impacting many common backyard birds like blue jays. The mysterious bird illness, first reported in Washington, D.C., has spread up the mid-Atlantic and into the Midwest. There are hundreds of reports.
The bird disease of unknown origin brings about a quick death. Even if the infected bird were still alive by the time it comes to the center, Jordan says euthanasia would be their only option.
Well, it's hard. It really is. You know, there's no hope for these guys. It is scary in a way because we went through this with West Nile virus back in the early 2000. And that was a very frightening situation. And we had our freezers full of dead birds and no one knew what was going on.
The illness has been reported in Maryland, Washington, D.C., Virginia, West Virginia, Ohio, Indiana.
Did you feel it this morning? Some strong shaking just after 9 a.m. felt south of Compton through Huntington Beach. Bet you thought it was an earthquake. Well, I didn't feel it, but our local earthquake expert, Dr. Lucy Jones, says if you thought it was an earthquake, you would be wrong. She tweeted this: people have been asking about the earthquake, in quotes, in LA about 9:20 this morning. Many people report feeling it, but the seismograms clearly show the earth was not moving, only the air. So she says it was a sonic boom. Boom. There you go. Now you know.
Wait, it's the whole thing. Oh, yeah. What the hell's going on? I don't know, man. Look at the other side. Over. Look at the other side. What's happening? What do you see? Is it just a dirt slide?
Wow, I don't know what's going on.
Oh, it's an earthquake. Huh? It was an earthquake.
9 of magnitude 6.0 earthquake struck south of Lake Tahoe near a California and Nevada border this afternoon, and the aftershocks, they were felt right here in the Bay Area.
Felt from Tahoe to the Bay Area to Las Vegas.
Could be felt for nearly 200 miles.
A lot of light fixtures swinging, chandeliers swaying.
The rocks now blocking a number of narrow mountain passes.
This is the road shut down, and you can see the perspective from inside the vehicle. Cars are slowing down, and look at those big boulders on the eastern side of the Sierra that came tumbling down that hill, blocking Highway 395. I mean, these are some big boulders. We don't know if the boulders have caused any damage to any cars, but you can see people literally like an obstacle course having to weave in and out of those boulders, and no wonder 395 is shut down.
And look how far away the center of this thing is. This is way over here along the California-Nevada border. That's the size of the quake that we were able to feel it from that far away.
Took place 250 miles away east and south of San Francisco. Again, 6.0 magnitude.
This felt like my office was shaking quite a bit. You know, about the longest earthquake I've felt since living here for 20 years. So.
The ground itself seemed to shake extensively more, and it really rolled. I mean, you could literally see the ground moving.
And that shaking continued after the initial quake. USGS says more than 40 aftershocks.
This is video from Colville, California. You can see the boulders flying there in the distance, really that rock slide.
This is, that California-Nevada border. You see all the dust from that shot from 395 freeway. And more than 200 miles away in San Jose and San Francisco, video shows a plant.
Just had an earthquake here, and it's caused my chandeliers to shake. My grandfather clock, look over there, chandelier's rocking. Whew, scared me something awful.
Yeah, I think we're going to call this the Thursday sway, because that's pretty much what it was, right? You're kicking back on a Thursday afternoon, and everyone felt the swing.
The shaking continues in the Sierra. Less than an hour ago, a magnitude 4.4 quake hit the same area where we saw rock slides and other big problems today.
There was an eerie kind of a calm, and then it was more of a meandering shake, not violent. The entire building here shook from side to side for 1 to 2 seconds. Then there was a pause, and then it shook again.
While this is the largest earthquake to hit the region since 1994, USGS says it's not uncommon.
That you're a Christian. I don't care what the Bible says. Like, I feel like it's a clown show, like sitting here trying to decipher what your little mythical book has to say about these very real political issues, right? I don't care if you're Christian. In fact, I will fight for you to have your religious liberty and practice your Christianity. I believe in that. I don't believe in Christianity, which means that you do not get to dictate the way I live my life based on your religion. I don't care what the Bible says. You have every right in the world. All those women who identify with your religion have every right in the world to not get an abortion, to not take birth control, but they do not have the right to dictate my life and what I decide to do with my body. I don't care about your goddamn religion. I'm so tired of having nonstop conversations about what the Bible says. You live your life in the way that you interpret the Bible. Again, I don't care, but you don't get to take the Bible and tell me, well, the Bible says this in this chapter and this verse. I don't care. I don't care. I don't believe in it. And I have the right, based on our Constitution, to not believe in it.